Today, we celebrate a fellow warrior, a man who lined up in the trenches, play after play, took on double teams, chewed them up, spit them out, and asked for more. A player whose motor never quit, whose presence alone intimidated offenses, and whose mullet, let's just say, it was a thing of beauty. Too bad it didn't last a full 5 years.
Rob's playing days were really successful, especially after he moved to the nose tackle position. Rob wasn't just a one-dimensional nose tackle. Yes, he could stuff the run from tackle to tackle, but also he could get to the passer.
The nice part about it though, Rob, is whatever I say, with the number of concussions that you sustained over the years, you're likely not going to remember anything I say. So it's fair game now. Bert sent me a message a little while back asking for me to talk about you a little bit. I had about 3 minutes to talk about you. I said keep it PG, no swearing, stuff like that. So that's where my video clip ends on. No, I'm just kidding, partner. I wouldn't do that to you. I can say a few clean things about you. Have some fond memories. Rob, as a player, was the heart of the 97 number one ranked defense. A mean son of a bitch from Essex who took care of his and sometimes mine and Rhea's turf. He freed up a lot of blockers and clogged things up in the middle so Van Gaal could swoop in and make all the tackles.
Story after story after story of how fucking tough Robbie was. Maybe some of you guys have seen him like bend steel with his bare hands and shit like that, but I was lucky enough to crawl back into a huddle with him for 4 years, and look at him, and it'd be like some game of like last man standing that he was not going to lose. It didn't matter how beat up he was. It didn't matter how many double teams he had taken that game. I'd likely say he's the toughest guy I've ever played with. I can't recall if he ever missed a down of football or practice. And these were like authentic toughie practices.
An OUA All-Star, team leader, all-Canadian, team captain, and one of the toughest guys ever to play the game. Now, football just isn't about size or strength, even though that really helps. Also about heart, the will to fight, get back up, take on challenges that most people would run away from. Rob had the heart, he embraced the grind, he got better every day, and he made himself into a legend.
You hear all the time about how tough Rob was. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Rob. The best compliment you could have was what Coach Knight said one day. We're in the spring scrimmage of 1997, and Coach Knight, in his infinite wisdom, realizes that you don't have a backup, but he says, hey, McMurren's tough, he can go all 60. And Rob, you did.
But if I was in a back alley in trouble, I always said, I'd ask for Chris Bertoya to come help me. But I will say, if I was ever going to be in a hard-fought game of football, if there was one guy that so tough, such a competitor, I'd choose Rob McMurren.
His spider crouch stance was beyond low. Not many in the OUA were lower than Rob McMurren.
Rob wasn't just a nose tackle. He was an immovable force. The kind of guy who made offensive linemen second guess their university sport of choice.
I still think that there are interior offensive linemen that played at the OUA at that time that wake up in a cold sweat because they still dream or have a nightmare of number 43 getting past them as he hit the quarterback. It was incredible to watch, especially those University of Windsor offensive linemen.
I can't even imagine what the opposing team, what that offensive line, walking up to the line of scrimmage and looking at Robbie after they've been double teaming him all day. And he's got some, smirk on his face saying, come on, let's play.
Head on a swivel. Perfect advice for any opponent of number 43. Opposing quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, bags of chew, they were never safe.
All the while probably having a lot of chewing tobacco in his mouth. I don't know if he ever had chewing tobacco in during a game, but it wouldn't surprise me, you know.
As a friend, I saw all sides of Rob. I was an 18-year-old farm kid who got the locker next to him in my first year. Rob, needless to say, used to get his towel on the way into the shower and drop it off on his way back. So I got to see everything. A couple games that stand out for me were some multi-sack games in Windsor and Guelph. And then, of course, our Yates Cup victory in London. Rob anchored the defense on all those times and many others, but those stand out to me as highlight performances.
It was either our second or third year. Some things get a little bit fuzzy. We were in practice doing our usual stuff, usual drills, warm-ups, stretches, hitting, always hitting. D-line always did one-on-ones as part of this routine. At the time, we had a veteran nose tackle, big 66, John Schoneker. It was Rob's turn to line up against John. When the drill ball was snapped, blink of an eye, Rob was airborne. Feet, legs totally off the ground, parallel to the field. But here's the thing, Rob didn't stay down, got up, didn't complain, wiped himself off, got right back in there. Day after day, he faced that kind of battle, kept coming back. He got better and better. That made him great.
And I'm proud to say that anytime I say, you know, there's a good friend and teammate I had, you know, do you know Rob McMurren? They always do. You know, they always do. And they always have nothing but good things to say. I think he was, you know, Coach Tree's favorite, you know, and that says a lot. I can't remember Tuffy ever giving him shit. That says even more. You know, Stoddard and all the other coaches couldn't help but just want to be buddies with the guy because he's such a good fucking guy.
Rob transitioned quickly from player to coach and was able to set aside our friendships on Saturdays and coach me. At least for the games, he set it aside. After the game was over, he's at our town house drinking beer like a teammate, so just like old times. Rob was fair, motivating, and able to get the most out of his players. I'm sure that over the past 25 years, he's done the same.
Rob was a great player for the University of Waterloo and perhaps even a better coach. From going from a defensive line coach to several years at the DC, he was dedicated, he was well prepared, and he did exactly what we said. Rob, I got to tell you, those years with you, me, Greek, on the coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball were some of the best years and the most fun of my life. The laughing we did, the planning we did, the yelling we did was phenomenal. Rob, I cannot tell you how proud I am of you.
Congrats, Robbie, on this. You deserve it.
Rob, future strongman McMurren, congratulations on your induction into the Waterloo Warriors Ring of Honor. A great accomplishment, my friend. Take care.
Robbie, I had the privilege of playing beside you for 5 years, watching you go to war in the trenches. What a great time it was. Congratulations, Big Mac, on your induction into the Waterloo Warriors Football Ring of Honor.